Yeah. Miss Callas? Miss Callas?
Sorry, I'm in a terrible hurry.
Miss Callas? Hurry,
I'm sorry. I have no thoughts except on catching the plane.
Our modern idea of the soprano was stamped by La Divina, Maria Callas, the most famous and possibly the most controversial soprano of the 20th century.
Miss Callas, have we dismayed you with the intensity of our journalistic welcome today?
Well, I would much rather you just let me come in and go out as I please without any attention.
Okay.
Maria Callas has become a hot topic of conversation again recently, with Angelina Jolie starring in the new biography film adaptation of her life. But what truly made Maria such a renowned figure within 20th century opera? Maria Callas was an American-born Greek operatic soprano who was highly praised in the mid-20th century for her lyrical and dramatic versatility. She is considered one of opera's most iconic and influential singers. In 1937, Callas's mother took her two daughters to Athens, and Maria Callas studied at the National Conservatory and later at the Athens Conservatory. Callas was soon singing and performing locally. In 1942, she made her professional debut in a lead role, appearing as the title character in Puccini's Tosca. Her performance drew critical acclaim. Maria was often referred to as La Divina, and still is often referred to as that, meaning the Divine One. She coined this name through a series of performances dating from 1947 to 1949, such as in 1949 where she first appeared in Rome, Buenos Aires, Naples, and in Mexico City. These performances helped earn Callas this nickname, as she was drawing crowds around the globe full of people who perhaps hadn't been to an opera before or didn't class themselves as fans before seeing Maria in an opera. She became a household name. She also coined this nickname due to her insane vocal abilities, having a 3-octave vocal range. As well as this, her stage presence and dramatic intensity were two more reasons she gained the name La Divina. She was known for her powerful stage presence and ability to convincingly portray a wide range of characters. She also cleverly used her vocals to convey these characters' internal struggles due to her dramatic and expressive vocal abilities. It is often said that Maria was arguably the world's biggest diva for that time period, the first operatic superstar since Enrique Caruso. Callas's rise to the forefront of contemporary opera was due in part to her powerful dramatic soprano voice. Her success was also attributed to her strong sense of theatre and her high artistic standards. Her abilities made possible the revival of the 19th century bel canto works that had long been dropped from standard repertoires. In 1950, Callas made her debut at the prestigious La Scala in Milan. 2 years later, she appeared at Covent Garden, London. Her American debut took place in November 1957 at Chicago's Lyric Opera in the title role of Norma, a performance she repeated before a recorded audience at the Metropolitan Opera in New York City. Callas's recordings were enthusiastically received, and she was one of the most popular singers of the period. As mentioned earlier, Callas was able to draw crowds from around the world and inherently changed how people view opera. Her voice wasn't just a voice, it engaged all the senses, speaking to the mind, heart and depths of those who listened. She connected with her audience wherever she was in the world, and people swarmed to see her and buy her records. While it is difficult to know how many records Maria sold, it is estimated she sold about 1.3 million records, her most popular record being Maria Callas 5 Volume 1, which sold over 300,000 copies. She helped to inspire upcoming opera singers from around the globe, many adapting elements of her singing style and dramatic performance style into their own and creating the genre as we know it today. Without Maria, it is interesting to think what opera would be like in the modern 21st century. Maria unfortunately encountered some serious vocal issues as her career went on, most notably an unevenness in higher registers. Some attributed this to her dramatic weight loss around 1954. Others blamed the earlier heavy roles, which were vocally demanding, requiring the performer to sing loudly and with power. Maria herself blamed a loss of strength in her diaphragm. However, it is said she grew increasingly frustrated with her vocal issues and feeling like she lost her voice. Unfortunately, this meant that Maria had to scale back her performances in the 1960s. After a final operatic performance as Tosca at London's Covent Garden in 1964, she then made Medea, an Italian film that portrays the myth of Jason and the Argonauts, to which Maria's performance was said to have showed she no longer needs opera, it was living inside her. In 1972, she taught masterclasses in opera at Juilliard before her last US and European concert tour, which ran from 1973 to 1974. By the time of her retirement, she had performed more than 40 different roles and had recorded more than 20 complete operas. Callas settled in Paris and she became reclusive in her later years. In 1977, at age 53, she died from a heart attack. Maria's passing was a huge loss to the opera community. My first introduction to Maria Callas was through the 2024 Angelina Jolie biopic in which she plays Maria Callas. Like most Hollywood movies based on a true story, Maria exaggerates, imagines, and condenses aspects of real life in order to create a more compelling movie. Because much of the movie takes place over Callas's final days, when nothing was recorded or documented, much of those scenes and dialogue are pure speculation on the part of director Pablo Larraín and screenwriter Stephen Knight. However, Larraín said in an interview for the Maria press notes that we did a lot of research on Maria's life and the end of her life, how the interactions of the operas she sang could create parallels with her own life, with writer Knight saying he was given researchers who helped me unearth the more remote and unknown elements of Maria's life. That included first-hand testimony from Callas's former butler. I always find the memories of living witnesses to real events are worth more than anything you can gain from text. It is also true that in the final weeks of her life, Callas was trying to build back her voice. It's not clear why she was doing this, but the filmmakers behind Maria thought she was doing it for herself. Pablo and I picked up on the true fact that shortly before she died, she was in the process of trying to rebuild her voice, but without any real intention of performing to other people, Knight said. Perhaps she wanted to die whole, in one piece, herself and her voice reunited. It should be noted that the 2024 film Maria does, as mentioned earlier, dramatise elements of Maria's life. For instance, Maria Callas's official cause of death was a heart attack, but the movie Maria posits the heart attack was the result of drug abuse, as towards the end of her life it is documented that this is something she unfortunately suffered with. The film introduced a character, an interviewer called Mandrax, who Maria in the film hallucinates, while on the addictive, psychoactive, sedative Mandrax. However, this part of the film was created to further the film's own narrative, and while there have been reports that Callas suffered from a degenerative disease that she was treating with cortisone and immunosuppressants, which can increase the risk of heart failure, there is not any public record of Callas taking Mandrax. The film has also faced some criticism for its self-imposed glamour shots of Angelina Jolie's Maria, when in fact Maria often referred to herself as an ugly duckling, especially in the beginning of her career. For instance, Mark Sood from the LA Times said about Jolie's performance that she lacks, crucially, Callas's disarming smile. None of this might matter so much had director Pablo Larraín concentrated less on supplying glamour shots of Jolie. So to some, it feels like a Hollywood glamorized version of Maria Callas's life. However, I do personally think from my research and watching this film that 2024 biopic Maria is a very good introductory film for people interested in Maria's life or don't know much about her struggles behind the stage and the facade of opera. I also think Jolie did a great job in her portrayal of Maria. Maria Callas will always be remembered for changing the face of 20th century opera and helping to create the genre as we know it today. Despite her troubled childhood and life, Maria found solace in her music, and to me that is truly a beautiful thing.